Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and where we get Dungeons and Dragons, and how this has changes, how this has changed. There are now five preeminent places we get Dungeons and Dragons, and they have been very carefully illuminated by Wizards of the Coast, who knows better than anybody where you get Dungeons and Dragons and who decides where you get Dungeons and Dragons. So let's talk about Dungeons and Dragons distribution today. All right, so where do you get Dungeons and Dragons? There are five sources. Okay, so first let's walk through them. So the best way to see this is go to the Spelljammer product page on Wizards of the Coast website, which is really unique because it's different than D&D Beyond. They both have a lot of overlapping content, but the Wizards of the Coast website serves a different purpose and does different things than D&D Beyond does. And that's going to have to be managed going forward. So we'll just jump right into it. D&D Beyond is one of the places. It's the digital source for Dungeons and Dragons. If you need Dungeons and Dragons today, if you need today's Dungeons and Dragons, you are not interested in the physical product, which, boy, are you failing your insight check if you're actually purchasing anything on D&D Beyond. First of all, I think D&D Beyond is a fantastic product if you get it for free. If you pay for it, I highly question that, because you are buying air and vapor, right? They will change that content whenever they wish. You own nothing, right? You own whatever they decide you own, right? Whereas if you buy their physical book, you actually own the book. But if you are, for some strange reason, and they're not strange. There are some people who are choosing digital, right? And the benefits outweigh the disadvantages for some people. And I'm actually glad that D&D Beyond exists, because I know it definitely expands the number of players who are coming to the game. I don't think there's any question, right? So if you want digital Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to get that from D&D Beyond. It's a website now owned by Wizards of the Coast, right? Purchased from Fandom, right? And that just happened this year, 2022. So D&D Beyond is a source for Dungeons and Dragons if you want the digital, okay? What if you want the physical? Let's talk about. You know what? Let's finish out digital. There's two more places you can get D&D official D&D canon content, and those are VTSs, virtual tabletop systems. Okay, there are two: Fantasy Grounds and Roll20. By the way, Roll20 is by far the winner. Fantasy Grounds is kind of like a vestigial nub, and I would expect Dungeons and Dragons to chop off Fantasy Ground at some point now. It's very duplicative, superfluous, and lesser. Right? Like a Fantasy Ground just seems really. I don't think that Dungeons and Dragons needs two VTSs, and I think that Dungeons and Dragons official relationship with Fantasy Ground should end, and they should just choose the winner, Roll20, and move forward with that. But right now, there are two virtual tabletop systems that bring official Dungeons and Dragons content to your virtual tabletop for Fantasy Grounds and for Roll20. Okay, now let's talk about the physical. Okay, there's the LGS, the local. It used to be the LGS. It is no longer. Look at the button on that product page for the new upcoming Spelljammer product. It says your local store, not your local game store. And this is a big change. It used to be your local game store, but now it could be Target, right? Target carries a lot of Dungeons & Dragons product now. And increasingly, Dungeons & Dragons is saying, you're going to find us in stores, not just game stores. And I think that's a great idea because, frankly, the game store is certainly an endangered species, right? They're still around. Many of them, they're thriving. Many of them are predators, right? Like the grizzly bear, I think, is like an endangered species, right? I think you get in trouble if you kill them. I remember a story just recently where somebody killed a grizzly bear and got in trouble for it, right? And but that's a predator. You wouldn't be like, oh, the poor grizzly bear. Like normally, you're like, hey, that's a predator. They can protect themselves, but apparently they can't. So basically, the just your local store. So you can buy the physical products at your local store, and that is local gaming stores, and that is now Targets and many other stores, and it's just continuing to grow. That you're going to be able to get these things in local stores. Okay, so that is one of the areas where you can get Dungeons and Dragons. So your local store your VTSs, all right, D&D Beyond, and then where else can you get the physical? You can also get the physical. So yeah. Oh, you can also get the physical through Amazon. This is a big one. Amazon, okay? And Amazon has its own button on the product page saying your local store, these VTSs, D&D Beyond, and Amazon, right? And Amazon is, and I always say, there's the local, there's D&D. D&D has two covers. They have your local. They have the ones that you get at your local game shop. They make special covers for the local game shop. And then I say the Amazon cover, and people come at me and say, no, Scott, it's just the cover. It's just the non-LGS cover. That's not the case. I think we need, and I think Wizards of the Coast is very much accepting this and realizing this, and they're saying, hey, Amazon moves a crap ton of our product, perhaps more than any other source, perhaps more than all other sources combined, right? And so Amazon is specifically called out as a source for your Dungeons & Dragons physical products, right? And they sell at a deep discount, and a lot of people really like to get them. And I have to say, I get my brand new books from, my pattern now is I get my brand new books from my local game shop, and when it drops, literally the day it drops, and I pay full retail for it. And then I wait until there's a 2 for 3, right? 3 for 2. So there's a deal, and it comes up pretty frequently on Amazon, where they're like, "Hey, pick 3 books, pay for the 2 most expensive. The third one's free." It's a fantastic deal. I've bought over a dozen books like this. Amazon is a major mover of physical product. So you have your local store, you have your VTSs. You have Amazon as a source. You have D&D Beyond as a source, right? And so these are all the different ways that you can get Dungeons and Dragons at this point, for your table, right? And Wizards of the Coast takes this very seriously, and this is a major distribution chain. So those are all the different ways that you can get, the material for your table. And there's a lot here. Like, we should be thinking about this carefully, because these changes are very, very significant, right? And so we have these two VTSs. We have D&D Beyond. We have Amazon. We have your local game shop. And I'm wondering if there's any other way. I think there might be a sixth on there, but those are the ones that are coming to mind right now. So, and these are major, and this is in flux, right? Like, the local game store used to be the thing. Now it's just local store. They don't really care that it's a game store, right? And I think this is important to look at in detail and think about the ramifications of this if you're into seriously understanding Dungeons & Dragons today and what it means for our society. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.